This episode of Around the Layout is brought to you by Highball Graphics. For over 25 years, Highball Graphics has been providing high-quality decals for railroads in New England, Canada, and beyond. With over 2,000 sets in scales N through G, Highball Graphics has you and your project covered. Highball Graphics specializes in custom decal orders, serving freelance railroads worldwide. Check out their easy-to-use website at highballgraphics.com or email them at info@highballgraphics.com. Discover prototypical track and turnouts with the Roadmaster series from Oak Hill Model Railroad Track Supply. Proudly made in the United States, Oak Hill's handcrafted turnouts provide unparalleled detail and accuracy, giving your layout museum-quality track work at an affordable price. Whether fully built or in easy-to-assemble kit form, Roadmaster provides all the details of real track. Looking for a custom piece of track work? Oak Hill can help with custom turnouts, diamonds, crossings, and more. Check out all of their offerings on their website, ohrtracksupply.com. ATLP Extra is our monthly newsletter delivered right to your inbox each month. Sign up for free at atlpextra.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Around the Layout, where model railroaders come to tell their story. My name is Ray Arnott. So glad you could join us. It's May. The weather is warming up, but model railroading season isn't quite over yet. In fact, maybe it never even ends. Maybe Tony Cook is right that it just never ends because we have awesome events going on nearly year-round, and one of those awesome events is the Northeast Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet, also known as the NERPM. And joining me to talk about that is Dave Owens. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ray. It's great to be with you.
It's awesome to have you here and thinking about NERPM once again. It's an event that I know you put a lot of work into and you do a lot of research for it. And I know that because I fly all the way to St. Louis, Missouri. And who do I see but Dave Owens and John Sacerdoti? And I know that's not the only one you go to, but you're flying all over the place and driving all over the place, checking out other RPMs. And I know it's for your own personal pleasure, but I know it's a little bit of research as well and a little bit of networking too.
Absolutely. I love going to meets. I've never been to a bad meet. I've probably been to 40 or so over the last 20 years. And I like going to them because I love seeing models. I love going to clinics. I love meeting my friends, meeting new people. And I love seeing how others do their meets. I learn and I get ideas. And it makes me think about how we can improve our meet.
You mentioned a long list that you've been to, but the list continues to grow of RPMs starting up. We've seen Michelle Kempema start the Colorado Rail Meet, I think is what she's calling it. That one is taking off. We've got Central Georgia growing. We've got, you mentioned one that you just went to out in the Pennsylvania area, right?
We went to RPM East in Youngwood, Pennsylvania. That was the meet that used to be in Greensburg. They lost their facility and moved to a community college, and it's a great event. They alternate back and forth with the Philadelphia area and the Pittsburgh area, and it's just a fun meet. That's a great place to go because there's great rail fanning. We went out on Wednesday, stopped in Altoona to watch trains for a day, then continued on to Youngwood and got to hang out in some of these neat old cities and do more rail fanning. Jeanette, Pennsylvania, which there's a great hobby shop in Jeanette that we always go to, Niedzkowski's trains. And Mike is a great guy. We always look forward to going there because he's always got great stuff. And that just adds to the trip, these going out to dinner, going out to lunch in these cool restaurants, these locally owned restaurants. And it's like the whole package. There's the event, there's the meet, the clinics, the model room, and then there's the extras, hanging out with your friends, meeting new people and going out to dinner and all that kind of good stuff.
I think you hit it right there when you said package, because it really is. And I think one of the special things that seems to happen with these RPMs is really part of that package is the camaraderie, to be able to be with your people, right? Where we're all model railroaders and we're all have these very similar interests. And now we get to go hang out with like-minded folk.
Exactly. Everybody who's into the same thing comes together, and there's always a conversation to be to be had wherever you go. There's someone with that common interest you can talk to, hang out in the model room and ask someone about how they did a model, watch Butch Eiler work on his amazing models as he weathers them. It's just it's a community, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the more I can get to, the better off I am. I really enjoy going to them, and of course, now I've got one with the NERPM right in my backyard, and I've been going the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, maybe it's been that I've been able to get up to see the event, and I'm looking forward to it again this year. For those that don't know about the Northeast Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet, or maybe sort of formerly known as the New England Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet, and we'll let you kind of explain that one
Sure,
out a little bit as well. Tell us a little bit about its history.
sure. We began 22 years ago. At least that's what, according to my flyer, it says 22nd. I kind of lost track, but we started in the early 2000s with a 2-day event. I and a couple of my friends had gone to a meet that Jim Six hosted in Ohio, and we had a great time. And we wanted to create a similar event closer to home for people in our region, and we created it at the Canton Community Center, Canton, Connecticut. I was a newspaper reporter at the time, and I used to cover Canton. I would sit in Board of Selectmen and planning and zoning meetings in this big room in the community center. And when things got a little boring, I'd look around and I'd think to myself, this would be a great room for a model display. And there were a couple other classrooms, and I thought they would be clinic rooms. And I put together a proposal. I presented it to the first selectman, told her what we wanted to do. And she said, so you want to bring people from elsewhere into Canton, and they're going to spend money at my restaurants? And I said, yeah, pretty much. And she goes, yeah, I think we can do that. So the town was very enthusiastic to host us and was really accommodating and loved having us there. But we grew out the community center. We just outgrew it, and parking became an issue, and it was very crowded, and having a hotel nearby was an issue. So we ended up moving to a couple of different hotels. We changed over the years, but gradually more and more people came to the meet. And now we're at the Springfield Monarch Place Hotel in Springfield, Massachusetts, which is a great facility. And if anybody's been to any of our meets in the past, sometimes we had to go between floors, and there was a lot of elevator riding. None of that. We're all in one space now. The 3 clinic rooms are all together, the model display room, the exhibitor room with vendors and other people, and our white elephant table, and the registration area, and as well as a social area for people to relax and hang out. If they don't want to go to a clinic, they can hang out and talk with people and have a good time. And it's really a great facility.
Well, it's certainly great that the NERPM has now found a real solid home, because you went through some struggles for a couple of years, and boy, I hope you're now able to look back and laugh at some of these things that had happened to you during those times that have
Did
now
we
led
ever?
to a better things. Yeah.
We did we ever? I joked that we killed 3 hotels. We Our first hotel was in Enfield, Connecticut, and they had event space. And we got a call from them, hey, we're going to be tearing down our event space, so you can't have your meet here. And we're like, what? They literally tore it down. So then we moved to another hotel, and everybody really liked it. That was the Marriott in Farmington, Connecticut. And then COVID happened, so we lost a year there. And then we were ready to have it the year after COVID, and they called us up and said, hey, the hotel's being sold. They're turning it into apartments. Oh my gosh, here we go again. So we scrambled, and we went to the La Quinta in Springfield, Massachusetts. Some folks may remember that. The La Quinta decided to convert their event space into guest rooms. So we just kept on getting run out of places. So then we went to the Springfield Sheraton, and it's a great place, great people. And we are affiliated with the Amherst Railway Society, and the Amherst Railway Society has a long relationship with the Sheraton. So that was a big plus for us and helped us get in there and have that facility for the meet. And should we grow, there's more space and the opportunity to expand.
And that works out well for folks that don't know. The Amherst Railway Society is the power behind the Railroad Hobby Show, the one we talk about most all the time here on the show, and I call the SEMA of model railroading. So having that relationship and all tied in between the NERPM and the Railroad Hobby Show, and the Sheraton becomes kind of like the hotel central for now both events, hosting that and really being the hotel of choice for the Railroad Hobby Show. A lot of before and after events for what we call Amherst show happened at that hotel. So what a perfect venue to be able to tie this event into as well.
It is. It's a great group of people there, and as you said, it's really the host hotel for the Railroad Hobby Show in January, and a lot of activities go on there, and it sells out. It's also the host hotel for the large scale show that the Amherst Society is putting on for the third time this spring, and it's sold out for that as well. The Amherst Society is all about promoting the hobby, and that's what we're trying to do: promote the hobby, bring people together, get them excited about modeling, and building models and going home and having a great time as they work on boxcars, other freight cars, passenger cars, locomotives, vehicles, structures, everything that is part of the hobby.
Let's talk about the concept of RPM, and kind of in the name doesn't really explain the whole thing. Who should be coming to these events? Is it just the railroad prototype modelers, or is it really a little bit bigger crowd that should be able to enjoy an event like this?
I think if you're a model railroader and you enjoy the hobby, you enjoy building models, this is the place for you. The name Railroad Prototype Modelers Meet, I think, makes the event sound like it's an exclusive event, a place where you've got to be an ultra rivet counter and some super skilled guy. And I got to tell you, I'm neither of those. I like to build models. Some I do better than others. I'm always trying to learn and always trying to get better. And I think I'm the kind of person who a proto meet is for. People who want to learn, people who want to get better, people who enjoy the hobby and want to improve their skills and learn how other people do what they do. One of the great things about these meets is you can go in the model room and talk with someone. Hey, how'd you do that? How did you build that model that way? Or how did you get that to look like that? You can talk to a guy like Butch Eiler, who is I think has become pretty well known for his incredible skill, artistry as a modeler. And you can talk to Butch, you can talk to Dave Appadesano and learn about weathering and hey, Butch, how did you make the bulge the panels on that gondola car? How did you do that? And Butch will be happy to talk to you about it and explain it. And it's that sharing that goes on that I hope inspires people to want to build better models and just improve their skills and enjoy this hobby even more.
I think the diversity is what makes it fun too. When you have a bunch of modelers from different walks that all come together, and you again have something very much in common with them, but they bring their own unique skill set and their own unique look into the hobby to these shows to share.
And their unique interests. If somebody comes in with a road name we're not used to seeing, there's always a lot of interest. If someone comes in with a model that we're not used to seeing, some sort of unique or complicated structure, everybody loves to gather around that. But overall, you're right. It's just this opportunity for people to come together and just have a great time and enjoy learning, looking at models and learning from each other, having those conversations that help you move forward.
Well, speaking of learning from each other, let's talk a little bit about the clinics that are offered during the NERPM. And when I go down here, this list that's on your website, nerpm.org. And again, we'll share all these links on our website, aroundthelayout.com/159. It's really who's who of model railroading when it comes to clinicians.
We're really lucky. We have so many people who are generous with their time and their knowledge and their skills and offer to do clinics at the meet. And I'm always grateful to every one of them. And I've been talking to folks, getting clinic descriptions, and going to be starting to work on a schedule pretty soon. But it's just a great array of clinics. I always look forward to them. There's people like Mal Halk who who literally scratch builds steam engines. He's amazing. And he's going to be doing a clinic on passenger cars of the New York, Ontario, and Western. Tony Custer, who built this legendary layout, the nickel plate, he's got a new interest, O scale. So he's going to talk about that layout he's working on. Dave Apadesano is going to be talking about the layout that he is building in Texas. And Steve Finero will be doing a clinic about the research he did for a car that he's now offering as a kit. And there's just all these people who come together, Mike Rose and so many different people who have layouts or models they have built, and it's fun to learn about how they're doing what they're doing and getting tips and ideas and how you can translate all that to your modeling.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it as well. When you look at a clinic description, it may not be exactly what you're into, but there's so many takeaways regardless of that. And you mentioned the gentleman giving a clinic on steam locomotives. Now, you may not ever want to scratch build a steam locomotive, but I'm sure there's techniques that they're using that you could take home with you as well.
Absolutely. And just to understand what he does gives you an appreciation and frankly gives you an idea of something you could do as well. It's important for people to, I think, realize that all of these things are achievable. You know, we're not superhuman. We're regular guys, regular people, and we have managed to develop a skill or manage to put together a model. I think we've talked about I like Sylvan vehicle kits, and people can open up a Sylvan box and then get intimidated because it's resin and oh my gosh, look at all these white parts. And I was like that on my first one, but just step by step, I put one together, I painted it, and it came out okay. The next one came out a little better, and I still struggle. You know, I'm not a great painter, but I keep working at it, and I just love building them because they're great little kits. And Claire Gilbert comes out with new models every year. I always look forward to what he's going to have at West Springfield. And on a recent trip to AA Hobbies over in Rhode Island, I loaded up on some Sylvan kits, and they're just a lot of fun. And it's just one element of the hobby that I enjoy.
Oh, I see you on the clinic list as well. Talk about the clinic that you're going to be putting on.
Well, years ago, I developed an interest in Department of Defense flat cars and military trains. At the big railroad show, I'd seen a military train, a World War II era train, and it really caught my eye, and I thought that was kind of neat. And I wanted to build something similar, and I chose to focus on the Cold War, sort of the stuff that would have been moving around when I was younger. And I worked on a train of Department of Defense flat cars, the 1953 Magor flats that the government bought because tanks had gotten too heavy for the general railroad flat cars. So the government had to buy some. These were the first generation of government flat cars, and they hauled the M48s and the M60s. And they were in service for about 50 years. And when the Abrams tanks came online about 1980, they could carry one Abrams tank, but they needed to have two on a flat car. So the government ordered and purchased new flat cars, which the models of which are made by the folks at Spring Mills in Maryland. The cars I modeled were based on an old Roco kit of a DODX flat, and a discontinued kit, of course. I had to make it easy. So accumulated through eBay, through train shows, a bunch of these cars and altered them a little bit and put together a pretty good sized train hauling M60 tanks. I don't know if this is true, but Bill Schneider has suggested that having seen my train at a proto meet, Rapido got the idea to do the car. And I saw the car at West Springfield this year, and it's amazing. Just mind-bogglingly good. And they also made a tank to go on it that is really nice. The team at Rapido did an amazing job on this, and they're going to be coming out pretty soon. So I'm going to do an update of my clinic on these flat cars, on why the government bought them, what they hauled, and talk about the prototype and this new car coming from Rapido and just the improvements they were able to make. I'm going to keep my train, which is about 60 cars, but I might mix a couple Rapidos in.
There you go. This all comes to mind. The amazing amount of niche that comes within our hobby, the focus that you can have, where between Sylvan, and I know a lot of that with fire trucks, and then you also now with DODX trains and the history of that. And I'm looking down the list, and there's just tons and tons of neat niche type things, laser focused on these kinds of things that, even if you're not into it, even just the history that is talked about. Jim Fellows, the New Haven Railroad's Norwich and Worcester line, why I model it and how I'm doing it, the towns, interchanges, industries, and trains. Well, I live on the Norwich and Worcester line.
Right.
Like, I want to go to that clinic because there's so much that I could likely learn about, even just the history of the railroad prior to me moving into town 15 years ago. What was this town like before that? And what was that line before it? And what was it like in the New Haven era? Are all just a sampling of the things that you can learn from going to the NERPM and attending these clinics.
Yeah, and really any meet, these clinics are, every meet I've gone to has had terrific clinics that I really enjoyed. And I tell people that, one of the things I love it when I get a first time clinic presenter who has an idea, and it's always great to feature new people, local people. And I tell people, if they're working on a model, it could very well be a magazine article, or it could be a clinic, because we don't need to overthink this. Your interest in a particular car, your project on a particular car, you've probably done some research, you've employed some modeling techniques. There's a clinic. There's a model,
Right.
there's a magazine article, a one pager with some photos. And it's an opportunity to share. And I think a lot of people out there can take something away from that, learn a technique and go, oh, I never thought of that. That's a good way to do that. I encourage modelers as they work on their projects to think about what they're doing, and maybe you have a clinic in the making or a magazine article.
Yeah, it's definitely great to share. It's one of the things that's amazing about our hobby is the folks that are willing to do that, to take the time to share what they've learned and understand that making another modeler better also improves themselves. There's just something about that we all rise together. It's a really amazing thing that is really encapsulated so well with these RPMs.
And sometimes people are nervous about speaking in front of a group. This is a great place to do that because you've got a very interested audience, a very friendly audience, a non-judgmental audience. They want to be there. They want to hear what you have to say. And very often there's give and take that makes a clinic even better because people in the audience have information or ask good questions. And it's a lot of fun. And I think it's a very rewarding experience for those who do it.
So we have the clinics, but in between clinics, there's also things to be done. And one of them is the models that are on display. And that's where folks like you listening come in and talk a bit about that, about those that bring their models to exhibit at the show.
The model room is sort of the heart of the meet. It's a bunch of tables. We've got table covers, and people are encouraged to bring along models to the show. Completed models, in progress models, and put them down. And you might want to fill out a card to explain what it is. And people spend a lot of time in there looking at models and because they may see something that inspires them, and they just enjoy looking at the models. It's really a big part of every meet I've gone to.
Yeah, there are countless amounts of cell phone photos taken in that room of folks getting new ideas or inspiration for their next project out of that. And the cool part is it's a non-judgmental atmosphere. It's to look at them, and there is no awards being handed out.
Exactly. This is no judging. No one should feel any nervousness. Everyone's welcome. We want everybody to come and bring their models and display them. Whether you're a beginner, whether you're experienced, everyone belongs. Everyone is welcome. And you're not held to some imaginary standard. No one's going to pass judgment. And, I can't say that some knucklehead won't say, wow, that rivet's in the wrong spot. But for the most part, this is a group of people who are very open and welcoming, And it's important, I think. We set up our modeling room with chairs, and we make it a place for people to gather and talk and just to hang out, because that's a great place for people to become friends, to have conversations, to talk about models, to learn and share information. The clinics are one part of that, but so is just hanging around and talking with other modelers.
Yeah, and ask questions,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
those folks that have created this, like I said before, really have that spirit, that heart of a teacher, where they've learned it and they're willing to share it. Ask them, because that's their passion. And I haven't met anybody really in this hobby that's overly passionate but not willing to share it. They want to tell people about their passion, and there's a great place for it to happen.
Absolutely. And every meet I've been to is like that. It's just a great atmosphere.
And then you have vendors that exhibit at the NERPM as well.
We do. We have a group of vendors. This year, I know I'm gonna leave somebody out, but we have Ron's Books, which I think is really the premier book dealer in the country. Finero and Camerlango resin kits. They make great stuff. They have been with us from the start. They're great people we look forward to seeing. 3D Central, Matt Herman, who has built an amazing business. It's really Matt's one of those guys who's done so much. First with ESU and now with 3D Central. And he's got these designers who are doing amazing work, these very highly skilled people who are developing models in CAD. And they work them out, and Matt prints them, and there's some really cool models from 3D Central. We're gonna have a guy, Tom Callan, selling slides. We're gonna have our white elephant table as well. Everybody who comes to the meet can bring along items that seemed like a good idea when they bought them, but they don't fit into their scheme anymore, and put them on the white elephant table and sell them. We don't take any money. You get 100% of the proceeds if it sells. And then you can turn around and go buy items from the other modelers or from the other vendors, or pick up something you see on the white elephant table.
Who doesn't have one of those, right? One
Oh
of
my
those
God.
things that we've bought and go, what was I thinking?
I got a basement full of them. But the problem is I love them all. I like everything. And I got to get rid of some of my stuff so I can build a layout.
It's going from collector to modeler. Yeah, to be able to thin through that. But there's a opportunity for you to move it along to somebody else who thinks it's a great idea.
Absolutely.
And then you can take the cash and put it towards building your layout for sure. So some great opportunities. And for those that are going there, opportunity to capture a great deal.
That's the truth. I picked up a couple items 2 years ago. I was very happy to get them.
And then we have reality. The NERPM is a 3-day event. There's 2 days at the hotel. Talk to us about day 3.
Sure.
And what happens on that Sunday.
Well, actually, we start Thursday night, believe it or not. We begin Thursday night. We have early registration. A lot of people arrive. And we're actually going to have a clinic Thursday night. We're going to have a slide program from Matt Herson. Matt Herson is a very well-known photographer, great guy, and he always presents a program that people love. So he's going to present a program Thursday night, and we'll probably put him to work during the meet as well. Friday and Saturday, we have clinics and the model display. The clinics begin at 9 o'clock in the morning. Registration opens at 8, and we go right up to about 10 o'clock at night. And we end each night with a raffle. We have incredibly generous vendors, manufacturers, retailers who give us items for the raffle, and we sell tickets through the day. And of course, that helps us pay for the meet. And then on Sunday, we have layout open houses, and we'll have a list at the meet of people who are going to open their homes, and the people who come to the meet can hit those layouts and check out some of the amazing work of modelers in our area.
So really almost 3.5 days of amazing stuff. Plus there's amazing stuff to be done around the Springfield area as well, and rail fanning opportunities and the such. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you've got the Hartford line, which is got some freight and a pretty heavy passenger between Amtrak and Connecticut Rail. The Boston and Albany is the east-west line. And there are some rail fanning spots. You just got to be careful. You make sure you don't trespass. Palmer, Massachusetts is a spot a few miles, probably about 15 miles east of Springfield, where the old Central Vermont and the B&A cross. So you can see CSX and Genesee and Wyoming, I guess now runs that
Yep.
line. They pretty much run every line, I think, except CSX. Further north on 91, you've got East Deerfield, where the former Guilford. Who's that? I've lost track of who
That's
Guilford was in.
also a Genesee and Wyoming railroad. So you're kind of
Oh my
right on
goodness.
that.
All
Yep,
right.
that's the Berkshire and Eastern, which used to be, but that was a former Boston and Maine yard. So a lot of history up in that Deerfield yard.
And does NS run in there?
And you will see NS Power going in there. They have an agreement. So you'll see that. You'll see CSX Power. You'll see Berkshire and Eastern Power. You might even find some old painted Guilford units
No
still
kidding.
in that wearing
Okay.
that paint. So yeah, great spot up in Deerfield. And as you mentioned, Palmer, you've also got the Massachusetts Central in
Yep.
Palmer. So you can check them out. And then, of course, like you mentioned, West Springfield Yard with CSX, Amtrak, Connecticut Southern, which is another Genesee and Wyoming railroad.
Yep.
So yeah, lots of great opportunity to see the prototype. Talk about railroad prototype modelers meet. Now you can go check out the prototype and get inspiration from them as well.
And further west, we've got the Housatonic, which runs up the western edge of Connecticut and connects with CSX at Pittsfield. And they just got some new power, some GP15s.
Not only new power, they got new power painted in that awesome Housatonic paint. So that's going to be definitely something to go out and check out.
That's a great scheme. That's a New Haven inspired scheme. They just changed it to green and yellow. The Housatonic is a lot of fun. I remember when their GP35s arrived on the property back in the 90s, painted in that scheme, and it was cool. And back then they had the RS3M still running and a GP9. It's a fun railroad. All kinds of good stuff. And if you want to do something other than railroads, there's the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield and the Springfield Armory Museum, which is a National Historic Site where they made armaments for the armed forces. And of course, Central Massachusetts has got all kinds of cool things going on up north into Northampton or south towards Hartford along the Connecticut River.
Yep, lots of stuff to do, railroad or non-railroad, and keep yourself entertained. So something definitely worth coming out. There should be good weather heading into the late May, early June. Not really hot yet. Hopefully.
Yeah, I always worry about snow till May 15th. So
yeah, well, it doesn't snow around here anymore, Dave. It's seemingly not a thing of the past, but yeah, it'll definitely a great time to come out here to the southern New England area and check out all the sites, along with, of course, the events that are happening around the NERPM. We mentioned the Springfield Sheraton Monarch. Talk about the hotel and staying at the Sheraton and kind of the advantages. You really want to stay at the host hotel. It seems like that's where everything's happening.
Yes, everything does happen there, and that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. To have the meet at the hotel, we have some obligations. We've got to hit a certain number of room nights, and we've got to hit a catering number for the hotel. So we ask people to stay at the hotel because that helps us. And we ask people to purchase breakfast and lunch through us. It's everybody is free to do what they would like, but that really helps us and helps cover the cost of putting on the meet at the Sheraton. And all that information is available on our website. We have a special room rate, and the way you can get that is to make your reservation through our website. And there are also meals we offer, the breakfast and lunch on Friday and Saturday, and that is available. It's a traditional breakfast, eggs, I believe bacon. There'll be some breads and oatmeal, some Danish kind of things each morning. And then for lunch, it's kind of a deli lunch, sandwiches and that kind of thing, deli meats. And I believe we're going to have chili this year, have a hot option. People can leave the hotel if they want, but boy, it really makes it easy to stay there. It's very convenient. We use one of the ballrooms upstairs. Everybody goes up there, has lunch. But you need to make reservations for that because we've got to give numbers to the hotel. So all that is available all that information is available on the website. So if people go to nerpm.org, they can see those details and choose their options.
And while, yes, you can leave the hotel and go find something to eat somewhere there in downtown Springfield, what you're also missing out on is yet another opportunity to meet some new folks while you're sitting at lunch. Because I'll tell you, the last time I went, And by the way, I think I still owe John Sacradotti lunch because I used his meal ticket last Saturday, or the Saturday last year. But I sat around and the folks that I talked to, it was just an amazing conversation just at lunch. So the price of admission for me was free, but it was still worth it to be able to sit with all those folks and be able to hear their stories and their passions. So yeah, don't skip lunch. Make sure you make your reservations and get everything set up so that you can have lunch at the NERPM so that you won't miss out on a single thing that's going on there.
And that social aspect is so important, just to get to meet others and hang out with them. And it's a lot of fun. People tend to go out for dinner. There is a sports bar in the hotel that some people go to dinner, but others go out into Springfield to the Student Prince, to a place called Theodore's, to, oh my goodness, the Red Rose.
Red Rose Pizza is amazing. I'll plug Red Rose. I went there this past year with Jim Wiggin from Athern during the Railroad Hobby Show, and their pizza is amazing. So definitely get yourself over to the Red Rose if you love pizza.
But we also have social stuff at the hotel. We have a bar that opens up about 5:00 on each day, Friday and Saturday. Actually, we'll have one Thursday night as well for the people who come in early, just to hang around and socialize in our area there where we are in the hotel. And people can do that. It's just another opportunity to hang out.
That's what it's all about. And boy, I'm just so looking forward to being at the NERPM. I will be there on Saturday to take it all in, to get to see folks. And I haven't seen you since the Amherst show, so it's been a few months. So
yeah,
looking forward to seeing you there and catching up with all these folks. I'm just recognizing all the names that are on the clinician list to be able to see the folks that we know. And then I'm sure there'll be many surprises while we're there of people showing up and being able to chat with them and then check out the vendors, and just so much to do there. And I'm really looking forward to being in Springfield again, May 30th through June 1st. Make your plans now, nerpm.org. And if you missed that, we'll also share that information on our website, aroundthelayout.com/159.
And if anybody has any questions, they can reach me through the website. Be happy to answer any questions.
Dave, you're doing an awesome job keeping the NERPM growing every year. Got it in a great location there in downtown Springfield where it's accessible 90, 91, 84. Don't matter which artery you come through into southern New England, you can get yourself to Springfield in the NERPM.
And you can take the train too.
Or
just
take
a
the
few
train.
blocks from the train station.
Yeah, by train, by plane, by car, find yourself a way to get to the NERPM this year. Again, May 30th through June 1st, 2025, nerpm.org. Dave Owens, thank you so much for coming on Around the Layout and telling us all about this amazing event.
Thank you so much, Ray. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Around the Layout. Learn more about today's episode, check out past shows, and much more on our website, aroundthelayout.com. Show your support by becoming an operating crew member at aroundthelayout.com/crew. Follow us on social media, aroundthelayout.com/social. And send us your feedback, aroundthelayout@gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out with us around the layout.